Thank you online. Today I was thinking about a lot of things, but mostly interdependence and interbeing. These kind of big, heavy words that we throw around a lot in Buddhist contexts or any kind of meditative context where you're trying to kind of shatter your non-dualism a little bit or your dualism a little bit. And there is a metaphor we talk about a lot about paper, which I'm not going to share today. I've said it so many times, but I would encourage you to look it up, Thich Nhat Hanh, and just like paper, interdependence. I'm sure it'll come up in 50,000 ways, but it's a really good story. But today I was thinking about a different metaphor that I read, and I usually try to finish the books that I'm reading before I share quotes from them so that I have the full context. But this one I was just really excited about. I'm only 2 chapters in, but there's this book called Hospicing Modernity. And it's a really cool kind of book, futurism workbook, kind of like a dreaming concept. And it goes through different scenarios in the future and past and kind of like gets you to re-examine how you think of the world. But there was this one really good metaphor they were talking about, and they were describing the earth as a planetary body and what that means for us and how we see ourselves. And before I share that metaphor, I was just thinking about, okay, what does it mean to like have a body? And we'll focus on just the stomach today. So when does my stomach become not my stomach? Right now it's inside of me. It's doing all of its things. I can pretty comfortably say it's my stomach. I could say it's a part of me, and I could say it is me right now, right? It's contained within this form. Maybe if I had some crazy accident and for some reason my stomach was outside of my body, maybe it wouldn't be my stomach anymore, right? If I was gone and it was not connected to me, maybe I wouldn't say that it was my stomach. But while it's inside, I can kind of say it's mine. I can kind of say it's me, but it's also its own thing, right? I wouldn't just look at my stomach on a tray, when like if somebody has a C-section, they pull out all your organs and kind of place them to the side before they take out the baby. If my stomach was there before me, I wouldn't say, oh yeah, that's me. That's all of me. That's Eli right there. It's that little massive gush and whatever my stomach looks like. I don't know. I've never seen it outside my body. But so there's something I know about that, right? There's something I can say to say, okay, this part of me is not the whole me, but it's still within me. It's still functioning, and it makes up how the whole of me is. Me without a stomach would be a very different me, right? I'd probably need some sort of, system or aid or something to digest my food for me. I would be in a completely different circumstance. Each day would be different. Each way I moved through the world would be different. And I was talking to some younger people the other day, or younger than me people the other day, and talking about like climate change and just kind of how they feel about the world and how some of these kids are so beautifully connected with the earth, even though our kind of environment is really set up to separate them. And I think there's kind of a wave of, now that we've gone to I don't know about the peak of digital, but we're so entrenched of this like digital modern era. There is a bunch of different ways. We have so much information. There's a bunch of different ways to look about going about being in the world. And to bring us back to the book, Hospicing Modernity, that is the premise of that book is that we're in this age called modernity, right? We're the modern people. And that is dying out. It is the way we are living is unsustainable. The way that we've kind of crafted a capitalist society is kind of imploding on itself over and over again. And we see all the tensions arising in the world. And what are the ways we can shift our views in order to hospice that modernity, in order to carry this way of life to its end and transform it into a new one? We don't have to stay here. There's so much that is kind of breaking apart and becoming difficult in, everybody's kind of life right now in a bunch of different ways. And it can feel really doomed, I think, to feel like this is, a lot of people really literally feel like this is the end. But there's never been one end. There's always been a transition. no matter what is happening in the universe. Well, I can't say that, but I think that. I don't know that for sure. But if we try to think of how we might shift into caring for the end of this way of living and birth a new one out of that, I think of the metaphor they were saying of the earth as one planetary body, right? So I was one body, now the earth is one body. We're like the metabolism. We're just the things that are moving, letting things decompose, regrow, birth, die over and over again, right? We're kind of like gut enzymes. There's so many of us, different versions of us, different things going on in my stomach, right? There's, you know, deer, elk, all these different animals that process the plants, break them down, put them back into the earth, and let them grow again. We're not this separate thing from the earth, even though we are our own people, right? We're our own little stomach in here, but we're a part of this big system. And so reconnecting to that system and reinvigorating our sense of caring for it and of caring for ourselves within that, I think is a way to live more interdependently and be more, interbe more, see that, you know, Lauren is Lauren and I am me, but when somebody poisons the soil, they're hurting both of our true nature, right? When I hurt myself, I am hurting part of the system that supports all of us. So there's so much more to, you know, shatter my sense of self, feel really existential and in crisis forever and never really have anything to grasp onto. Instead of that kind of take on interdependence, we can, I think, find a more hopeful release into caring for the parts of us that are the same, even though they are different, and the parts of us that are connected, no matter how they look. They are part of one system. So that's my sharing for today. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much online. Okay, we have more in person than online today. So we'll start with online checkouts. Give me 1 second.